Hello, beautiful, amazing world, and individual, you beautiful individual. Today, I would like to speak about overcoming hindrances and strife is what brings about a certain character growth and change. More or less everywhere, and especially inside ourselves, we have constant battles, if you would call it that. You get to know yourself and you get to connect to what brings empathy and what brings antipathy, feeling of pleasure or pain, or beauty and ugliness when it comes to actions and deeds. Aesthetic pleasure. It's a little hard to describe this, but if we didn't have anything that, when you build a road, if we didn't have anything that pushed against us, we would never be able to build any kind of inner strength. This inner strength, and especially when you have used a whole lot of time, a whole lot of time to cultivate what you understand about life, you certainly would like to keep on going with this consistency. It's a little hard to describe this. I'm not quite sure how they want me to. This opposition, we do, as human beings, we have the abilities to become empathic, to become loving, to become understanding of the next human being, even though we don't know that person. We become more respectful to other human beings around us. We start to feel everything moving, shifting, affecting each other. When you become sensitive enough, you will quickly realize the different world that your inner is actually creating with the outer. Of course, every personal inner world is wholly personal. Let's say you have experienced a whole set of experiences throughout life that made you to the person you are. Even though I, as a human being, experience different sets of strifes and experiences, I can still understand where you come from. Because when you have experienced pain and suffering, when you have experienced going through some of the worst that life has to offer, you build a certain love for life. Because let's say you were isolated your whole life and you never truly got any friends, you never truly got to connect to any type of groups of friends, and you had no choice but to explore yourself as a human being. Then you find out for yourself what it is you want and should cultivate and should focus on. By doing this, by gaining this love for life, since you never got this love from anyone else, but you have trust and faith that this love comes from somewhere higher, you will love life despite all the pain. Despite everything you went through, you still want to love, you still love, and you still keep doing what you're doing because it's the right thing to do. It is not because we have to do it, it is not because we are forced to do it, it is because we truly love to do it. To get to love the duty, to get to love every single different facets of life. If we try to suppress something, it will only fester in its own culture, become something out of control. But if you are including every part of yourself, trying to purify, trying to accept and to transform our inner deep sides of ourselves, it will be more of help, it will be more of a force that is guiding, a force that is more loving than anything. It is important to not be too frivolous or fantastical, and it is important to not be too cold and Philistine. to be meet in the middle and have both spiritual and intellectual faculties for life, balancing the middle. It is really, really important to do this if we are to actually sow seeds for the future. You see, everything you do now is what will become future. Obviously, when you think about it, what you do now affects the future picture. So, the more you are going beyond yourself and doing things you should not do will affect your future. If you do things that helps all of mankind and actually are consistent training for your inner life, you will be given and you will be guided towards what you are supposed to be, what you are supposed to do, what you chose before your birth. And the more you experience, explore, experiment, but not as a scientist in the regard as experimenting in the lab. You see, spirit is very elusive, and if you want to prove spirit, it will not show up. It just won't. If you have faith that it will show up, it shows up everywhere. And you just have to thank every time you become aware of this, because it's not always that we are. Sometimes they separate themselves a little from us so that we have to use our own machine and our own training to keep ourselves upstanding and right. And of course, after a little while, we feel a little down and out because we don't have the impulses that the divine is giving us in this sense. And they come back and help us when we have been suffering enough, maybe. Or when we have been struggling enough. They are always here helping us. They are always uplifting us. Of course, down here on earth, specifically down here on earth, we do have the counter forces, the opposition. But they are not macrocosmically, they are only earthly. This is a very specific evolution we are in. And by connecting to the higher forces that is not tainted by opposition or evil, you quickly see where evil is in the hierarchy of things. You see, if we say evil is here, then we have many steps over that is completely pure and is not corrupted or affected by evil. Evil is an ill-timed good. It is here so we can know what not to do, so we can reflect what deeds should be avoided and should not be done because it brings damage to everything around us. Of course, we can only preach about this in today's society, and by living it, you will have to actively and with effort and intention cultivate this. This is what the divine wants us to do. With our own machine, find out and grow. To be curious about life again. To enjoy, but at the same time also take this seriously and sincerely. If you do not take it sincerely and only use it as a hobby or use it as some kind of frivolous escape, then you won't be reaping the fruits of your labor because you are not laboring. But everyday labor, everyday training, everyday growth, finding out who you are so you can show examples of who others are by reflecting it to them. Of course, the personal life of everyone is wholly personal. Struggle and strife, if you need help, of course, ask. But from my point of view, I do not share such things because that is fully and only me, myself, that has to overcome this. And when I overcome it, I do not go around bragging about it and I do not go around complaining about it because it requires close relationships for me to open up to such things. Mostly because most people don't deserve or most people they don't know what to do with this information, and I would rather tell my story to someone that thoroughly appreciates it, obviously. And everyone should do this, because to constantly have this active trying to be worthy, trying to impress the divine in a sense, trying to be a good human being, but loving to try that, but having a certain joy for this, is what they would love to have you do. Of course, you will have to completely change how you grew up, what you picked up as beliefs, what you picked up as you think is, this is the truth, this is what the universe is like, when there are so much unexplored, so much that is not touched upon, or so much holes in the theories, and what they are, only theories and assumptions. But having a true living, changing universe that is always guiding us to the path of what we humans are supposed to be, what we are supposed to go towards, is something we almost never speak about. We can easily say that this and this and that is the reason. But if you feel that it might be the reason, but you can't say 100% sure this is the reason, then you have nothing to hold on to. It is just, what if it is like this? Maybe. Where would you go with that? No, you will have to have a live universe, and with a live, changing, moving universe, you can never box it into anything. It's like trying to imprison a living thing. It will slowly but surely die and become something corpse-like. But if you are living, shining out as a human being, it can't be boxed in, because you are something different from time to time to time. You have different moods, different thoughts and emotions, will impulses, and so on. That is why you can't ever figure a true human being out. They are constantly changing, constantly growing. That is the blessing, and that is also the protection you are given. Because there are so many people that wants to define something that they can't define. I think this was everything. Yep. Thanks everyone. May the divine guide us all on this beautiful, beautiful path on evolution. It was a little fun speaking today because it was lit. I actually had to think a little bit and use my own forces. Sometimes they more or less take over and speak for me. Other times I actually have to use my activity to. Yeah, I think that will be all. Thanks everyone. May the divine and Christ guide us all on this beautiful, beautiful path to growth, evolution, and finding love again. May the divine bless us all. And thanks everyone. Love you and thank you for listening to me. Goodbye.